Hi guys, my name is Casey and today I have here is Mr. Ken Teo. He is an expert in the STRA industry. He is a journalist in 3 major publications and today he even has won awards as well as an author. Today we are very lucky to have him here and would like to hear about his thoughts within the industry. So first of all, Mr. Ken Teo, can you introduce yourself as well as your background?
Actually, I'm a registered property manager with Boviap, and our practice is Strata building management.
Correct.
And our expertise is more on mixed developments management. So why today I'm in STRA? One of the reasons is STRA always happen in commercial mixed developments. So STRA is one of the challenges that we must overcome. So therefore, instead of standing at the opposition party, I choose to be the bridge among body corporate and the STRA operator. Because for me, business activity and harmonious living, there's a way to be harmonious. That's why we want to achieve the harmonious by putting 2 parties to negotiate together.
Okay, so from your words, I can understand that you used to be an anti-STRA, right? So what is the transition process and why do you think it's important for you to transition into a pro-STRA today that leads you to the exhibition and forum?
I think maybe I put it like this. Being a property manager, I take instruction from my clients.
Yes.
So usually, my clients consist of owners, property owners who live in the buildings. So therefore, when my owners don't want STRA, I have to act on their instruction to say no to STRA. But after being saying no to STRA, I realized STRA is producing 9.6 billion annual revenue to our nations and creating approximately 10,000 jobs. So it means that this industry is no longer small. So therefore, I found that there's a need of both parties to be sit down and talk. Because why? When owner object STRA, primary reason is security issue, wear and tear issue.
Yes.
And also the most important part is they don't like stranger to be in their building, changing frequently. But this one also go back to security issue. So wear and tear in the operation team, if STR operator are willing to subsidize the wear and tear, I will say wear and tear issue will be resolved. And stranger issue, if all the guests under short-term rental business operator are properly regulated and registered with valid visa, then I will say in certain circumstances, they are welcomed by Malaysia government. So why we say no to them?
Exactly.
So therefore, a certain misunderstanding of the situation like this. Operator is at North Pole, owner is at South Pole. They are standing at different angle looking at the same issue. So I found that there's a gap of the conversation. So our duty is to bring them both together and close the gap. So that things can be negotiated in commercial way. Yeah.
I see. That is actually very, very interesting. So we can see that it is actually a booming industry, contributing to a lot of jobs and as well as a billion-dollar industry. So now I would like to ask, what are the challenges you have faced when trying to breaching the gap?
I would say primary issue is emotion. Owner will stand firm, say I don't want STRA.
I see.
And operator will say, this is my property. Under National Land Code, I have my quiet enjoyment to use my own property. So you got no ground to stop me using my property for my business purpose or for my investment purpose. So there is actually a 2 extreme. So the biggest gap is owner don't really understand the governance under National Land Code. And the operator sometimes also violating certain house rule by putting the buildings wear and tear, damages, vandalism, causing more cost to repair. So the challenger is get the numbers right.
Yes.
So that both parties can sit down and talk.
Yes.
And also get the regulation and rules right. So what are the things that under our proper governance of law is enforceable?
Yes.
What are the idea that among owner which is beyond the law? Because in Malaysia, Strata management empowered landlord to pass by way of special resolutions to set up additional bylaw to govern the building. But sometimes Malaysian landlord, they will pass a special resolution, additional bylaw, contradicting with federal constitution, contradicting with any other state law, contradicting with federal law. So it's actually tak boleh.
Yes.
And it's not enforceable. So therefore, we need to bring them back to existing legal structure that there's no way we can stop owner use their property. And there's no way we can stop landlord to stop them renting out their property. So therefore, instead of fighting, why not sit down and talk and solve all this issue in harmonious way? So by putting both side expectation, if let's say owner's concern is wear and tear, cost. If Airbnb operator being a business entity, they are willing to subsidize this, I would say financially no issue.
Yes.
Then on the behavior issue, I would say we need to introduce certain additional bylaw by prohibiting certain misbehaved activity. If it happens, then the operator must govern their tenants. Now, the operator did not register with us. The tenant of the operator is silenced under our radar. We can't take any actions. We only can treat them as a stranger, so we had to chase them out. So the entire process of communications was not improper.
Yes.
So therefore, both parties must sit down, we facilitate, and we negotiate for a term. And the beauty part of today is they even set up an associations. They're having a dialogue with the minister or the relevant authority to get the regulation done. So therefore, if government also willing to look into the broad picture of regulations, I think independent building also need to comply to government regulation by having this proper, regulated, enforceable. If anyone any bad apple, we take actions. Because why? If let's say 90% of the operator are sincere businessmen, so we should not prohibit. If let's say 90% are all rotten apple, then no choice, we need to ban Airbnb.
Exactly.
Or ban short-term rental. But now we don't have the data.
Yes.
We only have a small chunk of data on the negative issue and people exaggerated it.
Yes.
So therefore, for me, it's not fair just because of one or two incidents, then we ban the entire industry.
Exactly.
So therefore, a dialogue must be created. I think STRA first time in Malaysia that this is the first formal dialogue our nation is trying to implement so that both parties can sit down to gather the voice and to come up with a solution.
Yes. So actually we can see that STRA Forum and Exhibition is the first time that we are organizing something like this. We are trying to make the bridge between the gap, allowing operators, policymakers, suppliers to come together so that they can have a conversation, a roundtable conversation to know how can they collaborate together to boom together in this billion-dollar industry. So now on the topic of regulations and rules, I would like to know, what do you think an effective and enforceable policy looks like?
I would say like in most of the industry, when there's a regulated body, all the operator must undergo the training and get certified. So it means that they truly understand what is the proper manner of conveying the short-term rental business. Therefore, all the members who are under this association or the regulated body, they will be able to govern. If they are rotten apple, action can be taken.
Exactly.
If they're good player and they're sincere player, I think award can be award to them. So this is the first part we must establish. And the second part will be, how do we amend building additional bylaw to suit that business and also to take care of the governance of the quiet enjoyment of home buyer. And one of the things is a ratio. A building when it's designed, there's a certain ratio that is suitable to be converted to Airbnb operator or short-term renting operating business. We give an example. Let's say the building mechanical, electrical specifications can take up to 30% of the unit to be converted. I would strongly recommend do not exceed the numbers. Because the moment you have more than 30%, the mechanical, the lift, the vertical trauma system, the swimming pool, you try to imagine that you get an Airbnb unit, you go to a swimming pool, everybody like a sardine fish because overcrowded with people.
Exactly.
So there's a certain ratio that a property manager must come in, study, this building up to 40% is the maximum capacity. Then we need to tell the operator, you can do business, but we only allow 40% of the unit to be converted. If there's beyond that, then we will say no. Because why? Beyond that is the building literally cannot support your business. If you do business in more than 40%, your guests will suffer. I also suffer. Owner also suffer. Your business also suffer. Why we all suffer together? But if let's say the capacity is 30%, so within 30% guests who are using a building, I would say the building physical hardware were able to cut the traffic. Then there will be less disturbance in terms of lift waiting time, instead of a guest waiting time, instead of a gym facility. Imagine that you bought the condo, you bought the service apartment, you want to go and swimming. But every time you reach the swimming pool, like a sardine already. So you're like, how to swim. So therefore, a certain ratio must be governed.
Yes.
But because of different building density is different building design is different, so the governance must be there. But how to meet the governance? The both must sit down and analyze the building.
Yes.
And with the assistance of property managers, we were able to tell them that the maximum capacity is up to this level. So if both parties agree, then they will be able to have the first harmonious.
That is very, very insightful. We can see that Mr. Ken is actually very, very thoughtful. So it is actually about everyone coming together, finding out what is the root cause problem, coming up with a solution which leads to harmonious ending.
Yeah.
So right now, I would like to ask Mr. Ken, what are your hopes and aspirations? And I guess, where do you see STRA industry can move towards?
I would say STI is a current trend and is going fast and very fast. I would say exponential growth. So to actually put a stop, I found that it's not that easy. And in fact, government also has softened their voice by sitting with them and start talking. It means that government also realized that it's beyond by putting a law to stop them. So therefore, government is looking into regulate them so that it can generate revenue to the governments. Same things, if STI operator are willing to subsidize a certain portion of their profit into building operation maintenance costs, as a home buyer, my maintenance charges for my building can be stabilized for at least 5-7 years. So I don't need to every year inflation top up management fee.
Exactly.
So because why? Wear and tear portion will be taken care by the operator. In fact, this is something that I always like to highlight. Owners are concerned on safety. So therefore, if the facial recognition system introduced in the system are sponsored by the STRA operator. So it means that every person who enter this building, the face will be recorded. So therefore, if they did anything, a violation or any criminals activity or illegal activity, we have the data of the person to be tabled to police or enforcement authority. If you don't regulate, they will smuggle in. So then, because they are smuggled in, we don't have their data. You owner want us to take action, but we don't have the data. We don't even have proper CCTV coverage to capture the abnormal activity. So end up, in Mandarin, we'll say 不了了之. Because why? Look like me, sounds like me, but you cannot prove it's me. So therefore, what we did is we will actually negotiate with short-term rental operator. There's a contribution from their funding, their business funding into the building to upgrade the CCTV coverage area, improving the quality of the camera, and also introducing facial recognitions so that everybody must register their face. And now all these IT are very useful, which means that the system will come with the apps. So now I have a guest. So I just need to send the link to the guest. The guest must register himself, scan the face. Let's say I got 6 guests. All 6 must scan the face. So everybody who entered the building are authorized and recorded with proper data storage. If there's any abnormal activity, we can go to authority. But current, if you don't allow, all this hardware will not able to be installed. Therefore, if there's any dispute, the story of look like me, sounds like me, but it's not me, it will keep repeating. And what property man can do? The evidence is not conclusive to take any legal actions. Neither police also say, tak jelas bang, what can I do?
There's no clear evidence.
Yes. So therefore, having the physical hardware to assist the governance will be helping. And I noticed one thing, when a building with proper CCTV coverage, with proper facial recognitions, Malaysians are lebih budiman. They are more behaved because under surveillance. But if you're building without all this surveillance system, tak ada you can become king already. So this is where all this hardware must be in place. And the cost of this hardware, as a business entity or short-term rental operator, they are willing to chip in, but they must be able to do business. Because why? If you don't control, everybody can come in. So if everybody come in, every operator suffer because they are fighting of the pool of the clients. But if you manage it within a certain percentage which is regulated, it means that the cake is shared among this group of people. So they have a better margin, and it's easier for us to negotiate a better contribution.
It's win-win, essentially.
Yes. So it can be achieved, but conversation must be initiated.
Alright, that is a very, very insightful conversation that we had when he was talking about how important it is to incorporate technological hardwares to ensure security, especially in the STRA industry. So my last question to you would be, what is your impression to the STRA forum and exhibition for today?
The first input to me is STRA used to be very messy, scattered. Different operators have different style of managing things, and they always like to do the business below the radar. So the significant change today is they resurface. So now they are putting themselves to meeting authority. So it means that they are willing to be bound and governed by Malaysian law.
Yes.
So I would say this is a very important move. And because of this, it's worth to put in effort, sit down with the STRA operators and associations to meet the needs of building so that both parties can achieve harmonious interests. But it's easier than say than doing. Because why? Now the law and the regulation is yet to be finalized. So therefore, don't wait until it finish. I will urge all the operators, join the associations, understand the guideline they are introduced. I think at this stage, dicadangkan. But if more and more operators can use this guideline and they show a good feedback, that it's easier for the association to table the data, present to the minister, relevant minister, to say, see, we are not creating problem, we are creating harmonious among both. So it will be easier for minister to consider to table the regulation or the law relevant to this industry. But the challenges is before that, tak ada.
Yes.
Now, finally we have.
Yes.
But this is only the first step. So the message to the owner is, don't say no, understand first. Understand the pros and cons, then make a decision that suitable for the entire building. Because a strata building is not one owner building. It's a building consists of multiple ownership. So therefore, one person voice do not overrun majority voice.
Correct.
So until you have a dialogue, we won't know this is personal preference or it's a group preference. If let's say it's a group preference, majority say no, then we will tell the operator, don't come here. Don't create issue here. But there are buildings who say yes. Then please go there.
Yes, exactly.
And operator also, if the building is totally empty, I don't think the operator also want to find trouble by making their life miserable.
Exactly.
So therefore, a certain agreement, a mutual understanding must be achieved. So example, selection criteria of a building, a checklist. If the building fulfill the checklist, Airbnb friendly, short-term rental friendly, then we talk.
Yes.
If we perform a survey, this building is not friendly to all this short-term renting activity, we as a property manager will advise operator, please don't come. Yeah. But now there's no such guideline. So it's all based on personal preference. So I say this platform is important. Why? They can start gathering voice and prepare the checklist. So that will be a very important step so that the negotiation is focused rather than emotion. 我唔中意，我唔愛傾. Now we can say, oh, somehow, somewhere, there's a certain allowance. Let's discuss. So I would say making things measurable is one of the key agenda of today's event.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we have heard Mr. Ken say, unity is strength. So even if you're an operator, your provider, supplier, we should always come together, contribute data, then we can contribute to this industry so that you can also be one of the successful case studies as well. But thank you so much, Mr. Ken. This has been a very thoughtful and insightful conversation. I would definitely re-look back to the video and of course take down notes as well because I have definitely learned a lot. So thank you so much, Mr. Ken. Have a good day.